ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां हयग्रीवमुपास्महे। ॐ श्री हयग्रीवाय नमः। ॐ श्री वल्लभा समेत श्री महागणाधिपतये नमः। So we were looking at the brahma-jijnAsA-padArtha-vichaarah. So here the meaning that brahmanaha jijnasa, where brahmanaha is karma sashti, that is not a problem. We also accept that. But the jijnasa has been given the meaning by Ramanuja as ishyamana paratva, meaning not the icha itself. So the desire actually points to the desired object, and that is the pradhana. That is important. Like that, they are giving the meaning, which was opposed by Bellamkonda Ramaraya Kavi, because if the Ishyamana Padartha is what is important, then directly they could have said Brahma Jnanam, correct? Brahma Jijnasa need not have been used at all. And you can also not say that Brahma Jnanam there, because the Brahma Jnanam is a phala, correct? It has to come after the study of the Uttara Mimamsa, and also it is the Vichara phala. So you cannot say that the Icha itself points to Brahma Jnanam, which is actually the phala. But for the Vishishtadvaitans, the Jnanam itself is actually a Manasa Kriya. So that's why they are saying like that. But we cannot accept that. For us, Jnana is Purusha Tantra. It is not Kartri Tantra. So Jnanam means it is whatever the object is, you have to know the object as it is, correct? That is why we call it as Vastu Tantra. But karma is Kartri Tantra or Purusha Tantra, because you can do, even if the Veda mandates something, let us say, everybody is not doing, correct? Veda's mandate alone will not make somebody do something. Most people, in fact, don't do any Vedic karma nowadays, even Brahmanas. So, you can do, you need not do, you can do differently. All these options are there with karma. But with jnanam, if there is an apple, you have to know the apple as only apple, correct? If there is a rope, you have to know the rope only as rope. There is no option there. You cannot know the rope as snake. Then it is not jnanam anymore, correct? It is not prama, it becomes brahma. So, jnana is vastu tantra, karma is purusha tantra, and here brahma jnanam is knowledge of Brahman, means Brahman has to be known as it is. And knowing that Brahman itself is the result also. Okay, in the sense that for us, moksha is not karma phala. That you have to know about Brahman and then go somewhere. You have to go to Vaikuntha, Kailasha. It's not like that. You don't have to go anywhere. Brahman being Ananta, it has to be available here and now. And if it is available here and now, and also it cannot be different from you also. Because if it is Ananta, it has to include you. That being the case, Ajnana alone is the samsara karana. Therefore, jnanam itself gives you the result, because it is accomplishing the accomplished. So the accomplished becomes unaccomplished only due to ignorance. Destruction of ignorance alone is moksha. So this is the main thing. Keeping this in mind, we give the meaning of jijnasa as, again, we also accept that ichha cannot be vidheya or mandated. So here when we say brahma-jijnAsa, it points out to brahma-vichara for us. Okay, so you have to do vichara, and again, that brahma-jnana-vichara means what? The brahma-jnanam itself is vichara phalam, and the vichara itself is Vedanta-artha-vichaarah. Now, in this context, the Purva Pakshi is asking a question here. If you say that san pratyaya has the meaning of vichara here, even then, how do you decide that it is Vedanta vichara? Correct? He asks, nacha san pratyayat vicharaha ityasya siddhau api katham Vedanta vicharaha ityasya siddhihi iti vachyam. Brahmanaha aupanishadattvena tad jnanasya vedantaika samadhigamyatvat tad siddhihi iti. So, Brahman being revealed only by the Upanishads. Veda alone is the pramana for Brahman. Therefore, that jnanam can only be gained by doing vichara of the Vedanta Vakyas. So that is what the Uttara Mimamsa is actually doing. Okay. So since it is only revealed through, or it can only be obtained or understood from the Vedanta, Vedantaika Samadhigamyatvat for Brahman. Therefore, it is this Brahma Jnanam can be gained only by Vedanta Vichara. It is very clear. So, Atayeva Vedantartha Vicharatmaka Nyaya Nibandhana Rupam tu Shastram Brahma Mimamsa iti Prasiddhihi. So, this Nyaya Nibandha means what? It is this Brahma Sutra or Vedanta Sutras or Uttara Mimamsa Shastra itself is a composition based of composition made up of Nyayas. Now, Nyaya means what here? Because the Nyaya Prasthana also we say, correct? Shruti Prasthana means it is Upanishad. Smriti Prasthana is Bhagavad Gita. And then we say Nyaya Prasthana is Brahma Sutra, and one has to study the Prasthana Traya. That is the Shravana. Now, when we say Nyaya here, what is the meaning of Nyaya? Nyaya means Adhikarana. Each Adhikarana is called a Nyaya here in Uttara Mimamsa or even in Purva Mimamsa, I think. And Adhikarana means what? There is even a very popular verse, correct? We have a very popular verse. Vishayo Vishayaschaiva Purva Pakshastatottaram Nirnayascheti Panchanga Shastredhikaranam Smritam. Or there is a slight reading difference also. Instead of Nirnayascha, there is also Sangatischeti Panchanga Shastre Adhikaranam Smritam, like that also there is a reading. So there are, anyway, the idea here is an Adhikarana is made up of Panchanga, and that Adhikarana is called Nyaya here, and Brahma Sutra itself is made up of all these Adhikaranas, correct? In fact, the first Sutra itself has only one Sutra, or first Adhikarana has only one Sutra. It is called Jijnasa-adhikaranam, which is this Athato Brahma Jijnasa itself is one Adhikarana, and it has only one Sutra. And there, whenever we are studying one Adhikarana, you have to study that with Vishaya. Vishaya means Samshaya here, and Vishaya. Vishaya is the subject matter. So, what is the doubt? What is the subject matter being discussed? And then what is the Purva Paksha? And then Uttara Paksha also we have to see, and what is the Sangati or connection between previous or later or Nirnaya. Finally, you have to do a Nirnaya, you have to come to a conclusion. This is the Siddhanta based on the Purva Paksha and Uttara Paksha. So, like this, the Panchanga one has to look at whenever we study each Adhikarana. That is how we study normally when we study the Vedanta Sutra. That's why we study it along with Vaiyasika Nyayamala, in fact, is there. There, Vidyaranya has done a great work. He gives all these things in a very brief manner in the form of verses. The Vaiyasika Nyayamala is great, actually. Of course, Bhashyakara also in the Bhashya goes in the same format. Okay, he will present the samshaya, then what is the vishaya of that adhikarana, and then the purva paksha, uttara paksha, and then conclusion and all that. So that is how we study this. So the Vedanta Artha Vichara we do in this manner so that you can come to a conclusive knowledge which is free from all kinds of doubts, correct? Generally, doubt is there. Many kinds of doubts are there. One is Pramana Asambhavana, we say. And there is a Prameya Asambhavana. Pramana Asambhavana means what? First, you don't know what the Veda's Tatparya itself, what the Veda actually reveals, whether it is revealing Advaita, Vishishta Advaita, Dvaita, all these doubts can be there, correct? Or whether it is revealing Brahman or Shunya, and there are scholars who come and confuse you also by saying it is, all these things are possible. It reveals everything. Means you have to come to a conclusion. Tatparya Nirnaya is the main thing. That is why this Nyaya Prasthana is very important. So you understand what is the, you do Samanvaya. You have to do Samanvaya of all the Shastra, the entire Shastra, and arrive at what the Shastra really wants to convey, and what methodology it used to convey that is the most important thing. If you don't understand the methodology, it becomes very difficult. Okay. So that the main methodology is what? Adhyaropa Apavada. That has to be very clear. Otherwise, you will take the Shastra Adhyaropita Vishaya and say that that itself is the Siddhanta. But the Adhyaropa is done deliberately to actually account for certain things, and then the Apavada also is always done. So the Adhyaropa Apavada, if you don't understand, then Shastra can become very confusing. That's why we always say Adhyaropa Apavadabhyam Vishprapancham Prapanchate. And only the one who knows the Sampradaya and understands this methodology can actually teach also. That is why it is said that Asampradaya with Murkhavat Apakshaniyaha and all that. So, if somebody doesn't know the Sampradaya or teaching methodology, that person has to be rejected. Okay, you cannot go and learn from such a person. So, this Vedantartha Vichara has to be done. And in that fashion only, for that purpose only, the whatever, in the form of Adhikaranas, the Brahma Sutra is there. It is composed in that manner. It is in that form. And that Shastra is called Brahma-Mimamsa. And that's how it is very popular, correct? So, Nibandhana Rupam tu Shastram Brahma-Mimamsa iti Prasiddhihi. So, finally, what he is concluding now, Etena Brahma-Vicharaha Kartavyaha iti Vakyarthat Brahma-Jnanaya Vedanta-Vicharaha Kartavyaha iti Vakyartaha eva Samichinaha iti Siddham. So, he says, what is proper understanding means the Jijnasa actually points out to what does it mandate. When we say, therefore, there is desire to know Brahman means the desire has to become some activity, correct? Because anywhere there is desire, it leads to some yatna, some effort has to be there towards the desired object. That yatna here is Brahma Vichara Kartavyaha. Brahma Vicharaha Kartavyaha. One has to do Brahma Vicharaha. And from that what Brahma Vicharaha means? Vakyarthat Brahma Jnanaya Vedanta Vicharaha Kartavyaha. That is the meaning. So by understanding the Vedanta Vakya only, one can gain Brahma Jnanam, and for that we have to do the Vedanta Vakya Vichara. And therefore that Vakyartaha eva Samichinaha iti Siddham. This is what is the proper understanding for Jijnasa. Now even then what? There can be, Purva Pakshi is not leaving. He says, Kutaha. How can you say this? So iti chet uchyate, what? See, whatever is said by Ramanuja, the Purva Pakshi, correct? There is no phala is not shown properly. And also the sadhana also does not come properly by just saying that the icha points to ishyamana vishaya, correct? Purva vakyarthe phalam na darshitam vichara sadhanam cha na darshitam iti tayoho tayoho avachanam doshaha. So they have not been said, correct? The both the phala and the sadhana, that does not come out very clearly by just saying that the icha points to brahma-jnanam directly. That meaning is not at all right. It doesn't show the, and also for them brahma-jnanam also does not give you phala, any phala directly. Okay. And how to gain that brahma-jnanam also doesn't come out in their interpretation of the brahma-jijnAsa-pada. So all these things having not being said, it is a defect. But uttara vakyarthe means uttara, whatever we have, the siddhanta, uttara piksha, there what phalam brahma-jnana rupam darshitam. So we say the phala is brahma-jnanam and sadhana is vichara. Correct? Vichara sadhanam cha vedanta rupam. And that vichara itself is what has to be done of the Vedanta Vakyas, correct? So the sadhana which is in the form of vichara itself is what? That vichara has to be done on Vedanta. So it is Vedanta vichara. Both are shown correctly. Darshitam iti adoshaha. So it is perfect. So that is why this conclusion I have come to. Nacha brahmajnanam na phalam kintu mokshaha eve iti vachyam. Okay. Purvapakshi is saying, no, that is fine. But brahmajnanam alone itself cannot be called as phala. You are saying we are giving you brahmajnana rupam phalam. I am saying brahmajnana is not the phala. Moksha is the phala. And brahmajnanam does not immediately give moksha. You have to do karma. They will come with jnana karma samuchaya. Correct? So he is saying brahmajnana is not phala. Moksha alone is phala. You cannot say that. Why? Brahma vicharam prati Brahma jnanasya eva phalatvat. Okay, the phala of Brahma vichara is Brahma jnana. And but you cannot say, okay, even but the Purva Pakshi will accept. But then their contention is Brahma jnanam is not moksha. For that also we say what? Brahma jnana atirikta mokshakhya phala abhavat cha. So there is nothing, there is no other moksha other than Brahma jnanam. Jnanam eva moksha. Jnanam eva tu kaivalyam. Jnanadeva tu kaivalyam. Like that. Again, there is no gap between Brahma jnanam and moksha. It is immediate. Okay, that's why we call Sadhyo Muktihi and all that. Only the Advaita Parampara talks about Jivan Mukti and Sadhyo Muktihi. For all others, you have to wait. There is no Sadhyo Muktihi or anything. You have to travel, in fact, somewhere. So they are all only tourism promoters, tourism to different lokas. So here we say that Brahma Jnanam alone is the phala and that itself is moksha. This is what I already discussed also, correct? Because the problem here is one of ignorance, and ignorance alone is the distance between whatever is already accomplished and you. Even though it is already accomplished, it has become unaccomplished because of ignorance, and therefore jnanam alone is enough. There is nothing to be done afterwards. That's why, in fact, my Guruji used to say Vedanta is the most impractical thing. There is nothing practical about Vedanta. It is about knowing yourself as you are, correct? You are already that. You have to just own up to the reality of who you are. So nothing more to be done really. Of course, there are books and all written about practical Vedanta. People are giving talks on practical Vedanta because the Vedanta also can be used to to develop certain values and have better life even in day-to-day life. Okay, by studying Vedanta, you get a certain thought process or certain disposition of your mind which is helpful even in your day-to-day life. In that context, we can talk about a practical Vedanta and all that, but in reality, Vedanta is the most impractical because there is nothing to practice there. Okay, it's about just jnanam. You have to know and own up. And of course, that owning up requires overcoming whatever hindrances which are there, correct? For this knowledge, there are habitual tendencies which are all hindering the establishment of this knowledge or the availability of this knowledge all the time. So some effort has to be made and all that. But really, it is all only towards gaining this knowledge. Once you have gained the knowledge, there is nothing to be done. So even though we say this, the Purva Pakshi doesn't accept. So he says what? Nacha Brahma Jnanad Ya Brahma Avaptihi Sa Eva Moksha Iti Vachyam. Okay, so they can quote Brahma with Brahma Eva Bhavati. Means Brahma Jnanat Ya Brahma Avaptihi. That is the Brahma Avapti, he says. From the Brahma Jnanam, you gain Brahman. So that gaining is there, correct? That alone is moksha. Brahma Jnanam alone is not the moksha. You have to have Brahma Jnanam and then gain this Brahman by going to Vaikuntha. Means we don't accept that. So what does he say? Nyayamana Brahmanaha eva prapyamana brahmatvat yat sakshat aparokshat brahmeti shrutehe. So yes, sakshat aparokshat brahma. This is from Brihadaranyaka again. So we say that gaining Brahman is nothing but knowing Brahman. There is nothing else really. You don't have to specially gain this Brahman after knowing because it is your own Atma, correct? Yes, Sakshat Aparokshat Brahma. Yes, Sarvantaratma, like that also it is there immediately. Even in that Vakya, if you see, if the Brihadaranyaka says, yes, Sarvantar, you have to know this Brahman as Atma of everybody, correct? Including your own Pratyek Atma is this Brahman. Since you are Atma itself is Brahman, what else do you have to gain here? You are already you are already there, correct? You are already yourself only. Self need not be gained specially or anything. Therefore, Ajnana Nivrittihi alone is really Brahma Jnana. The Ajnana has to go away. So, yes, Sakshat Aparokshat Brahma, like that it is said. That's why. Yes, Sarvantaratma also. It is the Atma of all. In that manner alone, you have to know this Brahman. And knowing alone is gaining. Okay, but even then what? Purva Pakshi doesn't leave. He says, Nacha aparokshataya nyayamanadapi ghatadi yatha प्राप्यमाणः घटः पृथक् भूतः तथैव अपरोक्षतया ज्ञायमानात् ब्रह्मणः अपि प्राप्यमाणं ब्रह्म भिन्नत्वमेव इति वाच्यम्. So he is now saying even the part we know directly aparokshataya. Okay, so it's not an indirect knowledge. You directly know the part, but still you cannot say that you have gained the part. Correct? You have to know the part, then you have to buy it or whatever. Gaining the part is separate from knowing the part. You cannot gain all the parts which you know, correct? You go to a market, you see so many parts, you have so much ghata jnanam, but all those ghatas do not become, you don't gain them or you don't attain them, correct? So, prapyamana ghata is separate from nyayamana ghata. Like that, nyayamana Brahman is separate. The known Brahman is separate from gained Brahman. To gain Brahman, you have to go somewhere. That is there. Siddhanta, correct? So he says, na vachyam. You cannot say that. Why? Ghata is parichinna. Ghata is an object of your knowledge. Correct? So any object of the knowledge, by just knowing it, you cannot gain. Obviously, we have no problem with that. But this Brahman is aparichinna and also it doesn't exclude you. It is in fact in the form of the Atma of everything. That's why he said, yes, Sarvantaratma, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi. All these things are only pointing out Brahman as Pratyegatma, Ayamatma Brahma. All these Mahavakyas are all pointing out Brahman. Even Gita also, Bhagavan says, Jnani tu Atma iva me matam. Okay, so this Atma is Brahman. You cannot know it in any other way, in fact, because if Brahman is really Ananta, it cannot be other than you. And if it is Ananta, it cannot be objectified. In fact, all these people, by making Bhagavan as an object of your knowledge, they are actually demeaning Bhagavan. They have made Bhagavan as one more object. Okay. Then Bhagavan becomes Parichinna actually. So it is actually blasphemy, I think, in one way. So Bhagavan cannot be an object of your knowledge or even upasya. That's why Kenopanishad and all repeatedly says, Nedam ididam upasate, Nedam ididam upasate and all that. Correct? Yen manasana manute, yenahur manomatam, tadeva brahmatam vidhi, Nedam ididam upasate, yet shrotrena shrinoti, yena shrotra midam shrutam, tadeva brahmatvam vidhi, Nedam ididam upasate. Like that. So that which cannot be known through your mind, that which makes your mind active as mind, correct, or function as the mind, that alone you know as Brahman. It is not an object of your thought. It cannot be, it can never become an object of your cognition. It cannot be an object for any meditation or anything like that. It's not a upasya vastu. It is the upasaka swarupa, in fact. That is Brahman. That is the only way. Pratibodha viditam matam amritatvam hi vidyate. So, bodham prati, in each and every cognition, that which is appearing as the knower, known, knowledge, everything. The Triputi itself is Brahman, and that is yourself. That is your very nature. Because you transcend the subject-object division. Understand that. Subject-object is only an appearance. The appearance of subject-object in Brahman in no way does anything to Brahman, because it is transient, it comes and goes. Correct? So that's what one has to understand. So ghatasya parichinnatvat tathastu aparichinnetu brahmani naivam kalpayitum shakyamiti. So you cannot say that whatever you have said with reference to ghata, you can say, because it is parichinna, it is limited. Brahman is limitless, ananta. So you cannot say, or you cannot impute the same logic on Brahman. So in this manner, samaptaha brahma-jijnAsa-padArtha-vichaarah. So brahma-jijnAsa-padArtha-vichaarah also is done here. So what is the Siddhanta? We say that brahma-jijnAsa means it points to Brahma-vichara or Vedanta-vichara. And Vedanta-vichara leads to Brahma-jnanam and jnanam-eva moksha. So this way, we have shown you the sadhana and the phala also. That is the way to give the meaning, and that is the one which is Shankara also, correct? That is the one which gives you auspiciousness, auspicious results. Otherwise, you will be just doing karma all your life, thinking that you have to go somewhere to see this Brahman, which is not going to happen really. Okay. Okay, continuing what? Atha svAdyAya-vidhi-vichaarah. So in this context, our Ramaraya Kavi is also taking one more point here. Ramanuja says, I read the Ramanuja Bhashya also over the past few days. Maybe some portions of that we'll see next week. So he says that the Veda Adhyayana, by that you only gain the Shabda Rashi. Means you only, like nowadays, most people do Veda Adhyayanam like that. Okay. In the sense that they only memorize the words. Of course, along with the Swara and all that. So it is just memorizing the Vedic chant without understanding the meaning. It's only the gain of the Shabda Rashi or the group of words which are there, and Artha you know only by doing Purva-Mimamsa, okay? By studying the Purva-Mimamsa only the Artha Grahanam is their contention. Now we don't accept that, okay? Because when we say Sangha Veda Adhyayana, there only the Artha Avabodha also is important. So at least the general knowledge one has to gain. And from there only you can get Sadhana Chadushkaya, or at least the Nitya Vastu Viveka, Vairagya, etc. Mumukshutvam. Therefore, you can directly engage in Brahma Mimamsa. You don't have to do Karma Mimamsa. That is our Paksha. So he particularly takes that the svAdyAya-Vidhi leads to only Shabda Rashi or Artha Avabodha also or not. So we are doing the Vichara here. Swadhyayo Adhyetavyaha iti vidhihi kim Akshara Rashi Grahanam Matra Paraha kim va Alavad Artha Avabodha Paryantaha iti Samshayaha. So there is a doubt. What? Swadhyayo Adhyetavyaha, like that the Vidhi is there. Where the Adhyayana means what? Just memorizing the words, or you memorize the words, you also understand the Artha. So till the time you understand the Artha, one has to do Adhyayanam. So what is the meaning of Adhyayana? Just memorizing the words or also understanding their meaning? That is the doubt. Tatra dvitiyaha pakshaha asmadiyaihi ashritaha. So we say the second option. What is that? Is the correct one, which is one has to know the Artha also. Artha avabodha paryanta is important in Adhyayana. But Ramanuja, what does he say? Purvaha pakshastu Ramanujena. Ramanuja says only the Shabda Rashi Grahanam is enough. No, that is not proper. Sacha yuktaha tatahi. Okay, why it is not proper or untenable? Because in this context, Veda itself says what? Stanurayam bharavaha kila abud aditya vedam na vijanati yo arthamiti. So, one who has done Veda Adhyayana but does not know the meaning of that is like a sthanu, means what? A dead wood, like we say, correct? A dead tree does not produce any fruits or leaves or anything. Okay, so that is the sthanu. So this fellow is only carrying all this Shabda Rashi. Is a bhara. If you don't know the meaning, it is like the donkey carrying books. Correct? Doesn't mean anything. In fact, most of our heritage is like that now. We do not really, uh, even though we may carry all this heritage is all on us, it's our heritage, but we are carrying it like donkeys, really speaking. If you do not understand and appreciate it, it is not worth it, correct? So, like this Veda itself says, iti shrutehe artha avabodha rahitasya vedadhyanasya nirartakasya vedavhitatva ayogacha. So, Shruti itself is saying that without the Artha Jnanam means it is useless. What is the purpose then? Okay, the Veda Adhyayana itself become nirarthaka. It will become purposeless, and Veda, whatever mandate, whatever the Vidhi Veda prescribes, it should have some meaning, correct? Some purpose, some result. It cannot be nirarthaka. In fact, whenever Veda mandates something like Ejeta, okay, Ejeta ityadihi, hi Vedaha, halavat swargvadi arthameva vidatte. So, when it says you do this yajna, means it is always phalavat. It will give you swargadi phala. That is why it is asking you to do something. Natu aphalam anyata apramanya prasanga. It cannot ask you to do something and say that there is no result for this. In fact, some Purva Mimamsaka says Nitya karma does not have any result. But if you don't do that, you will get a papa called pratyavaya. Akarane pratyavaya. Akarane pratyavaya dosha. They talk about like that. In fact, Bhashyakara writes a lot of Bhashya in Gita Bhashya and all that, or even in Taitriya, to negate this Akarane pratyavaya. Okay. Anyway, so here, Veda cannot uh, mandate anything without a result. If it is doing something like that, then we cannot take it as a pramana vakya. It is not something which it is revealing to us. It's not a revelatory sentence that. In fact, he says, Nahi laukikaha api nirartaka shabdaha kwapi pramanam bhavitum arhati kim punaha vaidikaha. So even in laukika, useless things we call as gossip, correct? So gossip is really useless. And mostly it is all rumor, correct? We cannot even take it as pramana. So if somebody comes and says something which is anyway not connected to you and it is useless, then you have spent your time not in a very useful manner. Even there you don't take it as a proper activity, correct? Useful activity. Then what about the Veda? Veda is a deliberate pramana. That's why we say it has to have phalavat artha bodhakatvam. Like that we have to say at least the other pramanas, like your sense organs, can sometimes reveal something which is useless or which is harmful also, correct? You go somewhere, your nose will anyway report all kinds of fragrance. Whether it is a fragrance or it is some smell which you are not able to take, it will report automatically. Only thing you can do is close your mouth or close your nose if something is pretty bad. But Veda is not like that. It is a deliberate means of knowledge. It's not automatic like your sense organs. Therefore, whatever it reveals has to have phala, or we have to connect it. Even the Arthavada we say has to be connected to something to make it meaningful. Therefore, if even in Loka, whatever something useful has to be revealed, which it has to be purposeful, then what to talk about the Veda? In this context, the Purva Pakshi comes back with an argument saying, no, Veda means it has to reveal only Vidhi, means something to be done. That's all. It need not have any phala. Okay. So svAdyAya-vidhi-vichaarah means it is mandating you to do the adhyayana. Means you have to do it. You cannot say that there has to be a phala for that. There is no necessity that the Veda Pramanya is dependent on the phala. They say that amnyayasya kriyarthatvat anarthakyam atadarthana. Means amnaya means Veda here. The Veda, for it to be a pramana, a means of knowledge, it has to reveal only kriya, activity. If some activity is revealed by the Veda and it is apurva, it is something which is not available anywhere else, then it is pramana. That's all. It need not be phalavat. But what we say is, without phalam, nobody will engage in any pravritti. Correct? Yaya pravrittihi sasa phala jnana purvika. Like this, there is a saying also. Any pravritti. Why there is any pravritti? Because one sees some phala, correct? The pravritti, for the pravritti only to happen, for any pursuit, it is based on only the result of that pursuit you are pursuing, correct? Even any Veda Vidhi also, like Ejeta, that's why he said, if somebody will do that yajna, only if they are interested in the phala of that yajna, correct? Otherwise, nobody is going to do. Just because Veda has mandated nobody is going to do anything. Unless they are interested in the result of that action, they will not do it. Therefore, Veda Pramanya is dependent on phala, not on whether you have to do something or not, or whether the Siddha Vastu. If something is, they say that Siddha Vastu Vakyas in the Veda do not have Pramanya. Means, if it is revealing a fact, factual statements in the Veda are not taken as Pramana. But we say that factual statements also are Pramana. In fact, if the factual statements are not revealed by the Veda, the karma itself you won't do. Why? Because Veda only, in fact, Bhashyakara takes it up very beautifully in the Brihadaranyaka Bhashya, Sambandha Bhashya itself, in the introduction. So there he argues that Veda only has to reveal that there is a Swarga, correct? If the Swarga itself is not revealed by the Veda, how are you going to know? So, Swarga is not knowable through any other means of knowledge. Similarly, Veda only has to reveal that there is a Deha Vyatirikta Atma. Because there is no consensus. Different people talk about this Atma differently. There is total confusion there. Therefore, Veda only has to say that this Atma is more than this physical body. It survives the death of this body. And not only that, he says, Deha Vyatirikta Atma, Dehantara Sambandhi Atma. Means, Veda only has to reveal that this body can take, this Atma can take another body. Otherwise, how are you going to go to Swarga and enjoy? You have to be able to take the Deva Sharira, correct? There. You have to be able to have the Sharira, the body of the Devas, and then through that only you can enjoy Swarga also. So, Deha Vyatirikta Atma, Dehantara Sambandhi Atma, Swarga, like this, so many Siddha Vastus, Veda has to reveal, and then only it can even say, Swarga Kamaha Jyotishto Mene Jeta. Then only that vidhi will become meaningful, and even then, only if you are interested in Swarga, correct? Swarga Kama. If you have a desire to go to Swarga only, you will do that anyway. Just because Veda has given some vidhi, you are not going to engage in that. Pravritti will not be there. Also, Veda not only talks about Pravritti, it also talks about Nivritti, correct? You don't do certain things. Himsam na kurya, kalanjam na bhakshayet. All these things are there. So how do you then explain Nivritti para? If you say everything is Kriya para, then how do you explain all this Nivritti? And even if you say Siddha Vastu, Veda cannot be Pramana. We say Siddha Vastu also Veda can be Pramana, and Siddha Vastu Vishaya also is a Pramana because it is Artha, it has some Phala. So they are arguing that, for example, Putraste Jataha, that is the next one he is saying here, Putraste Jataha Ityadi Avapta Vakyasya Anandadi Artha Janakatva Sampratipatte, like this. He is making a very brief statement, but there is a very big implication in that. See, they are saying Siddha Vastu Vishaya cannot be a Pramana, and also they do not give any Phala. But we say even Siddha Vastu Vishaya like Putraste Jataha. So somebody comes and gives you the news that a son has been born to you. So in that two things are important. One is what? They are revealing to you something which you don't know already. Correct? Anadhigatam. And then what? That is also producing joy in you. That is the phala. Correct? Anandadi artha janakatva sampratipatte. That's what he is saying here. So even a statement like putraste jataha, even though it is a siddha vastu vishaya, it qualifies to be a pramana vakya because it is revealing to you something which you don't know, and it is producing joy in you. Phala also is there. Phalavat artha bodhakatvam is there, and whatever was not known already, anadhigatatva, Avabodhakatvam also is there. Anadikata, avabodhakatva is there. So these things are important for a pramana. So in fact, he concludes saying that Ata eva na kriyartaha eva vedaha pramanam किंतु फलवत् अर्थबोधकः एव वेदः प्रमाणमिति निर्णीतम् आचार्यैः पूर्वैः. So the Purvacharyas, our Purvacharyas have decided or have concluded what is their conclusion? That just the Kriya Paravakyas alone are Pramana, you cannot say. For us, the important thing is Veda is a Pramana because it is revealing something which is not available through Pratyaksha or Anumana. Of course, that is a given. But even that cannot be Nirartaka. It has to be always Phalavat because Veda is a deliberate means of knowledge. So Phalavat Artha Bodhakam, Phalavat Artha Bodhakatvam is very, very important. Then only we take it as a Pramana. So that is what is the Nirnaya of our Purva Acharyas. Therefore, if you say that svAdyAya-vidhi-vichaarah does not have any phala, then it does not qualify to be as a vidhi, as a Veda vidhi or as a Pramana Vakya. Okay, the rest of the things we'll see later. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
धन्यवाद.
Om.